I had a couple of days free to explore Ho Chi Minh or Saigon in Vietnam, and I thought I'd share with you some of my highlights. I'm in one of the busiest places that I notice when I come to Saigon. There's a hotel called the Palace Saigon Hotel, which is just there. And if you look to the right of that, one of something that I've seen a lot on social media, this 4 stores, 5 stores, 6 stores, 7 stores of coffee shops. I haven't been in there, to be fair. I don't have coffee this late in the afternoon. But one thing that you will notice is, as I kind of like pan the camera around, is that this street here is empty. But if you come down here at night, is when it really comes to life. Loads of people, loads of families, loads of friends, playing games, having fun, enjoying life. It's one of the reasons I really love Ho Chi Minh City. Having snakes around the neck, having an impromptu karaoke session and a dance along on the left. People in restaurants. Honestly, it's just a really nice energy about this city. Really nice energy. So I was very fortunate to have a few days between working in Vietnam and then travelling on to Jakarta. And even better, my wife was able to join me for this trip as well. Here I'm crossing the road, and the technique is simply walk slowly, purposefully, and the bikes and cars will miss you. I must admit, I tried it on some roads, but not on all of the roads. We had a full itinerary for our 3 days of tourist action, starting with an open-top bus tour of the city. There's my wife. And one of the things I really love about Ho Chi Minh is the architecture. Heavily influenced, of course, by the French until they were kicked out in 1955. In fact, I'd arrived the week after the 50th anniversary of their reunification, of course, by their inspirational leader, Ho Chi Minh, of which the city is named after. It's got a beautiful river and a walk that you can do, but we stuck to the bus, mainly because the temperature and the humidity was really high. But getting on the open-top bus tour is a great way of exploring the city, finding some of the landmarks, and working out places you want to get off and get on again. One of the things I really love about exploring any city is walking down some of these beautiful little alleyways where you get these bars, these coffee shops, and of course the relentless infinite number of these motorbikes that are almost like mosquitoes passing by you. The people in Vietnam are super friendly. It is one of my favorite places to visit simply because of the culture. But after visiting the city, it was time to get out of the city, and we decided to do a full day tour, and we decided to go for the VIP tour, which meant the little minibus we were on was very comfortable, and there was only 5 people on the tour in total. We paid in total about £90, £45 per person, but that was for the VIP tour, and it included lunch, snacks, all the way through, and loads of water. Our itinerary was quite simple. We were spending half of the day in the Chu Chi Tunnels, and it was very wet during our trip there. And then after this, we were going to be making our way down to the Mekong Delta. It took around about 2 hours for the first port, which was the Chu Chi Tunnels, where I had this experience.
Yeah, just slow inside. Make sure you hit first. When you have the bad feeling, we can stop if you want.
Two people haven't come back, you know.
Okay.
I guess they didn't have ponchos back then, right?
You can try the poncho.
All right, you might still see the poncho, but we'll give it a go.
Okay, straight arm first. For the photo. Say bye-bye temporarily for your wife.
And I just see that's the figure engine. That's how they disappear.
Yeah, that's good. Let's go.
It's the last one. So after him, it's our turn. So I need volunteer.
That is tight.
That's good.
Okay, so my turn.
Volunteer, please.
Okay.
That was definitely a tight fit. I will say that this was such an important thing because it gave me an opportunity to see the Vietnam War, or the Resistance War as the Vietnamese call it, from a very different perspective. Having grown up in the 1970s and the 1980s watching Western, mainly American war movies about the Vietnam War, it was really important for me to see the other side. In these tunnels here, this is where the Vietnamese resistance soldiers lived, often for weeks at a time. And I have to say, if you are coming to Ho Chi Minh and you get a chance to do this tour, please do it. It is absolutely staggering. They've actually enlarged these tunnels, of course. As somebody who is 6'1", 185 centimeters, I am bigger than the average Vietnamese person was, especially, 50 years ago. But it still felt incredibly claustrophobic to go down these tunnels. And to imagine that these soldiers lived down these tunnels, often for weeks at a time, was staggering. They were incredibly inventive with the way that they came up with traps and weapons, and the way that they fought the resistance against what they called their invaders, as they were trying to reunify the country from communist north to the south. Got a chance to fire an AK-47, which was just fantastic. So the total cost to fire one round or one magazine was around about $60, give or take, and they do take credit cards. We also got a tour of some of the traps that they made. Their intention with these traps was not to kill the invading soldiers, but to maim them so that they would go back to their own camps and tell them of the horrors in the jungle awaiting them. I can only imagine the horror on both sides with this really terrible war. As you can see, the weather on the day was terrible, but we got a good tour. The lady that we had working with us was absolutely fantastic. She gave us a really good detailed history and was our tour guide for the whole day, from picking up at the hotel to dropping off back at the hotel later in the evening. In the afternoon, the weather changed a little bit. Very fortunately, in Southeast Asia, very often you get a lot of rain and then it's nice and dry. And you can see by now we were making our way, which is about a 2-hour coach journey, to the Mekong Delta. Another must-see visit. Initially, we parked up and we got on a bigger boat, as you can see here, to cross this bigger river. And then that would take us all the way to the other side. And then we could get on some of these smaller boats, as you'll see in a couple of moments. Again, health and safety wise, probably not the same as you might expect in other parts of the world. But I love the raw energy that you get here. But there was a health and safety advisory. They told us where we could find where they could find all of the life jackets if we needed to. It was a relatively quick trip across the water, around about maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And what I loved here was, although it was warm, it wasn't as hot as, of course, Ho Chi Minh is, with all that concrete around as you're in the jungle as such. I love these boats. I love the inventiveness of the Vietnamese. Of course, a lot of Vietnamese people, they do not earn a lot of money. And I would recommend, and I'll mention this a little bit later, bringing some spare cash with you, either US dollars or in Vietnamese dong, but they're always going to be asking for tips. The great news is the tips they're asking for are really, really small amounts of money for maybe the likes of many people in the world. I love the sound of the nature here. So when we got on the other side, we got on these little carts that drove at quite a fast pace, no seatbelts on them, and my wife and I were sat at the back. But it was really interesting just to see a different side of Ho Chi Minh. A lot of the people here do not earn a lot of money, but the one thing I've noticed is they're all really happy, which is something maybe we could all be inspired from. Then it was time to get on our transport. These were the, I don't know what the name of these boats are actually. And of course, a lot of the people down there, they had very limited English, but they were incredibly friendly. The one word they did know was tips. Please give tips. And this is where, again, I would recommend just bringing some extra cash just to tip them. It's a little bit for maybe the likes of you who's watching this and the likes of me, but it means a lot to them. Surrounded by this beauty, I'm just going to let you enjoy the sounds now. Just listen to this lady who's about to approach us on the other boat asking for tips. Steady footsteps, Tango. Well, there's always things like this. It was good to do it, and they're always after tips. Always after tips. So make sure if you come here, you bring small currency, 50,000 dong, a couple of dollars. We've been advised is all that they need. So it's not a huge amount of money for us, maybe, but it's a big amount of money for them, and it makes a difference. So 50,000 dong should be enough on these little boats on this island. After the tour, it was a quick look round some of the stuff that they sell, including this rather suspicious looking concoction. I will say I did not partake in any of that. Then it was a boat getting back to the main land as it was and heading back towards our hotel. The total time getting back to the hotel was about 2 hours, and we got back about 7:30 in the evening. Our final day was again exploring the beautiful city, which was a combination of getting on the bus but also walking around as well. I really love the architecture. It is reminiscence, of course, of French influence, but of course it also has its own unique Vietnamese input as well. So the tour around the city is well worth it. You get to see some shopping malls. Southeast Asia is renowned for shopping malls. The great thing is they have air conditioning, which is always welcome. And although a lot of Vietnam have low-cost stores, they also have higher-end stores as well. So the traffic, one thing again, if you come to Ho Chi Minh, you will notice it is motorbike, motorbike, motorbike. And it's just wonderful watching these little bikes moving around. But eventually we decided to stop off at the little Hanoi coffee shop. And this is interesting because the Vietnamese coffee is an egg coffee, which is prepared with yolks, egg yolks, sugar, condensed milk, and very strong coffee. It is a perfect drink. I will say it is very strong. The idea was when milk was in short supply, they started coming up with coffee made from egg. And it's a beautiful little restaurant. There are a couple of coffee shops spread out across Ho Chi Minh, and it's well worth a visit. And then finally, we got to the Saigon Post Office, a relic from the past, which is very interesting history. It was very warm at this point, and I have to say inside it was not air conditioned, but they did have fans. You can see the lady on the right there fanning herself, bless her. These are the old phone boxes where people would have booked phone calls for a call home to different locations, wherever they were in the world. And they still got the old desks as well. Of course, it is very touristy, but it's a tourist spot now. But you can also buy a postcard and write it and then send it back to your loved ones as well. So we did that. We sent some postcards to our parents and, of course, to our 3 kids as well. I lost the pen at that point. It went flying out of my hand. So it was a quick write there. I will say it wasn't cheap to send the postcards. It was probably more to send the postcard than it was for the postcard itself. But you can write it. I actually walked along here and pretended to post it through this box. In reality, I went back to the counter and handed it to the lady who then put it in a basket, and that was going to be sent. I believe it took about 2 weeks for that post to get all the way back to the UK. But this is a nice little place to come and visit. You're not going to be here hours, but it's very scenic, very photographic, and you can see these time zones there as well, Tokyo and Moscow, I think that was. And then it was time to head out and make our way back to the hotel. We decided to walk. It was only about a 20-minute walk, and again just taking in the sights and sounds of District 1 Ho Chi Minh. That's my hotel in the background, and in the foreground there is the Opera House. I've actually never been in there, but it's a wonderful place. If you stand outside the Opera House early in the morning, you will often see a lot of brides coming down with very vintage cars having photograph sessions. And again, they all look really wonderful. It's another reason I just adore the Vietnamese culture. So all in all, if you are coming to Ho Chi Minh, there's lots to see. It's an easy city to walk around. The people are incredibly friendly. You've just seen a green car go by there. There's the Grab taxis that you can use. I actually didn't use any taxis on this trip because I just found it easy to walk around. So all in all, if you're coming to Ho Chi Minh, you're going to have a great time. Now, this is the War Museum. I'm going to do a separate video of this because this is definitely something you want to come and visit.